Good morning, all of you. How are you all? Uh, Today we are going to study about the chapter 3rd in class 9th NCRT book, the CBSE course book. This chapter starts with Helmut, a boy of 11 years, and his father is discussing with his mother that he should commit suicide or he must kill each and every one, those who are in his family. Now, this discussion was going on, and by the same time period, Helmut was also listening to all these things, and he was so traumatized that he, after hearing all these things for the next 9 years, he never ate at his own home. Not only that, whatsoever the commodity that was made by his mother, he refused to eat all these things. The reason was that he thought that his mother is going to poison him. It was just on a particular day, just before May 1945, when the Hitler surrendered to the Allied forces. Sorry, Hitler's army surrendered, whereas the Hitler killed himself in his bunker in Berlin. Now, this particular whole process was there. Helmut's father, he enjoyed by taking him, that means the Helmut and his wife, Helmut's mother, to Urs. They partied there, and later on, in the next day, Helmut's father killed himself. But then also, such a trauma was there. Why? The question is why Helmut's father killed himself. The question goes beyond that. In 1990, the Treaty of Versailles, the rise of Weimar Republic in Germany, and so on. Now again the question arises, what is this? Then we are going to have some of the important topics in this particular chapter. Those topics are formation of Weimar Republic, the rise of Hitler's power, then flow of Nazi around the world, the racial ideology of Hitler and how it affected other countries, how the years of depression affected the German economy. Now here again you can think about one leader of a small nation in Europe. I cannot say in comparison to the nations of Europe was a larger one, but in comparison to the world's economy or world's other countries, we find it out. Germany is a very small country, but then also his ideology, his racial ideology, his hatred towards nearly 50 to 54 of the groups, and his love and affection for the Aryan race was such that till date, if in any country, if we want to say something bad word to the people or to the leaders, then we say the person is a Hitler, behaving like a Hitler, and his party is a Nazi party. Now, this is not only that Weimar Republic rose and after that everything happened. No, this particular, all these things lies very far behind in the history when the formation of Germany was going on. After the formation, once the unification of Germany was complete, after that, the French people, they were not happy. The Austrian, they were not happy with the formation of a German republic, German unification. And because of that also, after the First World War, some of the clauses, some of the severe clauses were forced upon Germany, because of which the Second World War was there. Rise of Hitler was there. The Nazi party rose all over the world. The Great Depression was there. These all topics are because of some of the biased decisions taken during the Versailles Treaty of 1919, just after the Second World War, and the treatment that the people of Germany were meted out by these people. The first topic is the birth of Weimar Republic. Now, Germany fought the First World War. That means from 1914 till 1918, the only country that continued his war till the end, along with the Austrian Empire and against the Allies. That means England, France, and Russia. Whereas Russia just they left the First World War in 1917 with some of the treaties with Germany, in which Russians, they just gave their portion of land, a huge amount of land to the German forces. But later on, That's totally a different thing. The second is the German initially made gains by occupying France and Belgium. However, the Allies owned defeating Germany and the Central Power in 1918. The reason was there that Germany was winning. But the problem was the German forces, they were having a plan of for 6 to 1 year that they will gain this much of the area. But later on, what happened? That their forces were continuously exhausted, and the allied forces, they were continuously being supplied arms and ammunitions and other things from the America, which was not the part and parcel of the World War. They were continuously supplying the goods, and because of that, the reinforcement in the allies were continuously there, whereas the German forces were not having any type of reinforcement of arms and food and other commodities that are the necessary for the continuing the fight. The third is the National Assembly met at a Weimar and established a democratic constitution with a federal structure. The republic, however, was not received well by its own people, largely because of the terms it was forced to accept after Germans' defeat at the end of the First World War. Many Germans held the new Weimar Republic responsible for not only the defeat in the war but the disgrace at Versailles. Now, what happened that after 1918, just when the Germany was to be defeated, the monarch of Germany, he left out. He said it, okay, Mr. Republic, you get on. Now, Weimar is not a name of a person. It's a place where this particular formation of government was done. And that government is known as a Weimar Republic. Now, this republic was created and they were sent to have a treaty at Versailles in France. Now, when these people, they went there, severe terms and conditions were levied on them, forced on them, and these people, those who went there, they were also humiliated. Now, I'm defeated. It's okay. I remember by this particular, whenever I go through this Versailles Treaty, I remember when Napoleon, not the Napoleon, but Alexander, he attacked on India. On the Western Front, King was there. His story, King Alexander and the King Porus. The story is continued there that the Porus, once he was defeated, the army of Alexander was also very afraid that the king of westernmost part of India is such a fierce warrior. What will happen when they will enter in the inner part of India? When the Porus was just presented before Alexander, Alexander asked him how you wanted to be treated. He said it just like a king. Even I'm defeated, but then also he said, I'm the king. Similarly, even the Germany was defeated, but they were the nation. The humiliation that was done by the allies with this Axis power created a mind of hatred for the rest of Europe in German people's mind, because of which the rise of Nazi party and the Hitler was completely there. Everybody now, when we discuss about the history, we talk about this. The Second World War started only because of the First World War. You see, after 1945 till 2020, no world war. We were on the verge of war many times, but we never fought a war like what is known to be the World War. We fought some remote areas were there where war was continuously there in between northern and southern Vietnam, similarly North and South Korea, then in between East Germany and West Germany. In many other regions of the world, that small wars were there, but not a scale of world war. The next point is, these photographs you can see, one is the German people at the Weimar Republic, the second photograph. Then you can see the people standing there. These people on the first picture where three people are sitting, they are the American generals, French and the British. They were sitting there, and the people from Germany, they are standing there. It was also said that at Versailles, these people were not treated well. They were remain standing outside the gate of that palace for many hours. Then you see the third one. The why was the Weimar Republic so unstable in its early days? The reason was everybody was because at the Weimar Republic, the basic thing is the constituent of it. A group of people were there, those who were controlling the system, and everybody was not so that we call friendly with each other, and because of that every now and then the government was overthrown. The instability in Weimar Republic created a right winger to control the system, because people every now and then they don't like to vote and create a government. They always wanted the stability must be there, and because of that this type of situation happened, that the people don't like this type of instability in the country. The fourth is about the Weimar Republic and all the other photographs that were there. You can see the effect of the war. Now, this war, it means not the Second World War. We are talking about the First World War. The war had a devastating impact on the entire continent, both psychologically and financially. Here, when we are talking about a continent, we are talking about the European continent, not other continents. From being a creditor, Europe became a debtor. It means that till 1914, even you see in our country also, by that by 1905, Jamshedji Nasir Tata, he established Tata and Iron and Steel Company in Jharkhand. But the British government, British India government, were not ready to purchase iron and steel from him, because as per them, the quality of iron and steel that is produced in India is not as par what the railways needed. But after 2014, the war once started, Indian Railway were purchasing 98% of iron and steel from him. And not only that, lots of iron and steel were also exported to European countries by Tata Group of Industries. Now, this shows that once they were the creditor, they supply credit to the world. Now they became the debtor. They asked for support either from USA or from other developed nation of that particular time period. The supporters of the Weimar Republic were criticized and became easy target of attacks in the conservative nationalist circles. Soldiers came to be placed above civilians. Aggressive war propaganda and national honor become important. Such a way was there during the war and even after that. Okay, the soldiers were continuously praised. You can see even in our country, the soldiers are praised. Yes, they lie down their lives, which is one of the most sacred thing. But then also the civilians and the soldiers both are necessary for the nation. They protect the borders of the country, and the civilians protect the inner core of the country. The heart of the country is saved by these civilians. And if the civilians and the soldiers both are not at par, then there is always going to be the problem. Aggressive war propaganda, attack on this, attack on that. You can watch nowadays on any news network, you will find it out. The India must attack on China, India must attack on Pakistan, India should attack on Bangladesh, India should do this, India should do that. In China, Chinese water, they should interfere. They must attack Chinese from the South China Sea, and so on. Lots of war hypocrisy, war aggressiveness, war propaganda is there. These must not be. We are the humans. We must live peacefully. Everybody must have equal chance and equal opportunity to live. But once we are talking about the war is always in the minds of the people. They always love to fight with each other. You can see also that many times we find it out even in the class, the two students are there without any reason they are fighting. These are the common things that happen. There also, the aggressiveness of war propaganda and national honor become important in comparison to the honor of the people. Political radicalism and economic crisis was there. The birth of the Weimar Republic coincided with uprising of the Spartacist League on the pattern of Bolshevik revolution in Russia. The Spartacists founded the Communist Party of Germany. Now there, the rise of Communist Party of Germany was there. The second one is the political radicalization was heightened by the economic crisis of 1923. As Germany refused to pay the war reparations, France occupied its leading industrial area, Ruhr. Germany retaliated with printing paper currency recklessly. The value of German mark collapsed. Prices of goods soared. There was a hyperinflation. Now, before moving to the second point, you must understand what the hyperinflation is. When the inflation, when the price rise of any commodity moves on, and that moving is not one or digit in digits, that gallops like a horse from 4 to 16, 16 to 32, and like that, if the prices are rising, then that is known as hyperinflation. By the 1923, whatsoever the fine that was there on German, they refused because they were just deteriorating day by day. In 1923, the Germans, they refused that we are not ready to pay you. The France, as per the Treaty of Versailles, they captured the industrial area of Ruhr Valley. Nearly they supply 70% of coal and iron ore to Germany. They captured that one. Germany, the government was so furious that they started printing as much as it can be possible the German mark, the currency of Germany. Even in our country, we find it out. Many people, they say, why not the government print the note and supply it to everyone? Someday I was listening to the news, some of the people of opposition, they were demanding that government must supply 15 lakh rupees to each and everyone of the country. Yeah, definitely. The government must supply. But what will happen after that when the prices will rise? Nobody thinks about it. It's the politics, but then also the same thing happened in Germany in 1923. The government supplied as much as it can be possible the money. And the prices of commodities were soared. It was said that even the price of one pack of bread that you purchase at rupees 20 at that particular time period, in terms of German mark, was in millions and millions of mark. That was the, I'm exactly not having the figure, but then also that was the condition, that the people were having mark in their pocket and in their bags, but the commodities were not available in the market. The next comes the year of depression, 1924 to 1928. They saw some stability, yet it was built on sand. In 1924, with the introduction of the DOS plan by the Americans, Germany came out from the financial instability. Germany was totally dependent on short-term loans, largely from the USA. This support was withdrawn with the crash in 1929. In 24 to 28, the Germans were so in problem that the Americans, they came with a DOS plan and they tried their best to financially help Germany. And Germany was totally dependent on short-term loan from USA. But once the USA's economy was in tantrum, they withdraw their support. The tantrum was in 1929 of the Wall Street exchange. The Wall Street, the share market of USA, it fell down. And German economy was hit badly. The middle class and working population were filled with the fear of proletarianization. The Weimar Republic had some inherent defects. Some defects were there. Proportional representation was also the problem. And Article 48, which gave President the power to impose emergency, suspend civil right and rule by decree. These were some of the things that were in future is going to help Hitler to rule the country, become the president, suspend the civil rights, rule by decree. These all things were used by Hitler. You see, the next picture is showing us the Wall Street of 1929 and the problem. Why can't you give my dad a job? The people are gathering outside in protest. The people are standing outside the coffee house so that they can have some bread or butter. The last one is Wall Street in panic as stocks crashes, attempt made to kill Italy's crown prince, and so on. This thing goes on. but the Wall Street in panic and stocks crashes. This is what we were talking and discussing about, that in 1929 what happened. Now, the word that was there, the proletarianization in Marxism, this word was there and is used, is the social process whereby people move from being either an employer, unemployed, or self-employed to being employed as wage labor by an employer. Proletarianization is often seen as the most important form of downward social mobility. I am the owner. I am the person who is employing few people. And what I become? Now I'm unemployed, or I was given employment by somebody else. The, the problem is that this is a downward trend. The movement is downward, because from being the employer, now the person is employee. This is, or unemployed. This is downward trend. The people are unable to gain money. That is one of the great problems. Now, Hitler's rise to power. Hitler was born in Austria in 1889. He earned many medals for bravery in the First World War. The Germany defeat horrified him. The Treaty of Versailles made him furious. He joined the German Workers' Party and renamed it National Socialist German Workers' Party. This later came to be known as the Nazi Party. Nazism became a mass movement only during the Great Depression. The Nazi propaganda steered hopes of better future. Hitler was a powerful and effective speaker. He promised the people a strong nation where all would get employment. Such a propaganda was that people started believing. And because of that, all these things happened. You see the pictures of Hitler. The destruction of democracy. The destruction of democracy. Hitler achieved the highest position in the cabinet of ministers on 30th January 1933. Hitler then set out to dismantle the structure of democratic rule. The fire decree of 28 February 1933 suspended civil rights like freedom of speech, press, and assembly. The communists were hurriedly packed off to newly established concentration camps. All political parties were banned. Special surveillance and security forces were created to control the people and rule with impunity. Now in 1933, on 28th February, the freedom of press, freedom of speech, to assemble and speak against the government, all these things were taken away. The fire decree was there. All political parties were banned. Special surveillance and security forces were established. They continuously watched each and every one, what they are doing, what they are talking. And if something they are against the government, the person can be captured and sent to jail. This was what was continuously happening. And by the same time period, the Hitler, what he did, he burnt the Reichstag, the Parliament of Germany. Once it was burnt, the institution of freedom, institution of democracies were destroyed by Hitler. The next one is the Reconstruction. Economist Helmer Sachse was given the responsibility of economic recovery. This was to be done through a state-created economic program. Hitler pulled out of the League of Nations in 1933, reoccupied the Rhineland in 1936, and integrated Austria and Germany in 1938 under the slogan, "One people, one empire, one leader." He then took Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia. Hitler had the unspoken support of England, because the people of England and the government of England, they continuously thought that because of Treaty of Versailles, the Germans were not treated well. And because of that sympathy for the Germany, the sympathy for the Hitler, that the Britishers, they never rose against against Germany till Germany attacked Poland. He did not stop here. He chose war as a way out of the economic crisis. Resources were to be accumulated through the expansion of territory. In September 1940, Germany invaded Poland. This started a war with France and England. The USA resisted involvement in the war, but when Japan extended its support to Hitler and bombarded Pearl Harbor and USA entered the war ended in 1945 and Hitler's defeat and the US bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. Now, USA was never part and parcel of war because they were far away, either from the Antarctica side or from the Pacific side. They were far away from the war zone and they never loved to fight. But the problem was that the war was continuously going on in Europe and Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. They destroyed their frigates, they destroyed their people. Within 3 hours, 190 fighter planes were destroyed on ground. The people were not even ready to fight. Not a single plane take off during that particular time period from Pearl Harbor. Nearly 3,000 kilometers, the Japanese moved silently in such a way with a huge amount of arms and ammunition and fighter plane and a ship. But nobody, never the USA or any other country came to know about the intention of Japanese. The Japan and Hitler was not a friend. Japan, there, the monarchy was there. In Hitler, he was a dictator. Both were far away. Both were having totally a different ideology. But then also they supported each other because they already had divided the world into 3 parts. Being a third party was Mussolini from Italy. The Nazi worldwide, what the world as per Nazi party was seen as. According to Nazi ideology, there was no equality between people, but only racial hierarchy. There were no equality, what the Nazi party say. They say that someone is higher, someone is lower, someone is below it, and so. And the Nazis quickly began to implement their dream of creating an exclusive racial community of pure Germans by physically eliminating all those who were considered undesirable. They wanted a society of pure and healthy Nordic Aryans, Jews, Gypsies, blacks, Russians, Poles, even certain Germans and abnormals were considered undesirable. All this plus blind and physically handicapped, they all were undesirables and they must sent to where? To which place? To a place which is now known as concentration camps. They were sent there and they were purified. The society was purified. They were there, sentenced there. I don't remember the final elimination. We will come to know about it. The other aspect of Hitler's ideology related to the geopolitical concept of Lebensraum or living space. Jews were the worst sufferer in Nazi Germany. Hitler believed in pseudo-scientific theories of a race which said that conversion was no solution to the Jewish problem. It had to be solved through their total elimination. Hitler never said convert these Jews people to the Christianity. No, he never accepted that. Mendel gave the survival of the fittest. That race theory was accepted by the Nazi party. And what they said? They said no conversion, just eliminate them all. We don't want them to be here, part and parcel of our society. They must be eradicated from the society. We don't want even a single Nordic Jews, Gypsies, blacks, Russian, Poles, and certain Germans and the abnormal people. They don't like. There are 52 categories of them. He only wanted the Nordic Aryans in his society. Then Germany from 1933 to 38, the Nazi terrorized, pepperized, and segregated the Jews, compelling them to leave the country. Many of them, they left the country. The next phase is 1939 to 1945, aimed at concentrating them in certain areas and then killing them in gas chambers in Poland. Lots of gas chambers were created by Germans in Poland to kill these people, either the Jews or the Poles or all these people. They were there for final solution. Now, if you will go through now, they were having a lots of great ideology. See the word final solution. The racial utopia, what the Hitler thought of, what the Nazi party thought of, that the genocide and war became two sides of the same coin. War going on and the people were killed by capturing, controlling them, just sending through the trains, hoarding them, sending in them to the concentration camp and killing them there. Occupied Poland was divided into Poles who were divided. Poles were forced to leave their homes and properties behind to be occupied by the ethnic Germans brought in from occupied Europe. Whosoever the Polish people were there, they were forced to leave their home. Not a single penny was to be taken away. They were forced to leave. Then the ethnic Germans, they will enter and they live in those places. As per the Hitler, what the youth were as per him. Hitler felt that a strong Nazi society could be established by teaching Nazi ideology to children. All schools were given German teachers. Children were divided into two groups, desirable and undesirable. Textbooks were rewritten. Functions of sports and text in schools was to nurture the spirit of violence and aggression. 10-year-old had to enter Jungvolk. At 14, all boys joined Hitler's youth and they joined the labor service at 18 years of age. By this way, the Hitler and his party were changing the mind of the youth. The boys at the age of 10, they are in Jungvolk, where the purification of brain as per Hitler was done. At 14, every child must join Hitler's youth. At 18, the Nazi cult of motherhood. Women were told for producing more and more child. Not only that, but many of the women were given tax concessions at shops. They were given concession for bearing more and more children. Pure Aryan blood, that also not of impure. The pure Aryan blood, they must have it. The art of propaganda, the Nazi regime used language and media with care and often to great effect. They used films, pictures, radio, posters, etc. You see some of the pictures, how the people were living in those concentration camps. You cannot say that only the males were treated like that, even the females were treated like that. The people were made naked before they moved to concentration camp. And then you see the last picture where the people are, the pile of bodies of humans are left out there. Then crime against humanity. People saw the world through Nazi eye and spoke the Nazi language. At times, even the Jews began to believe in the Nazi stereotypes about him. Such a propaganda of Hitler and his party was that people all over the world, they felt that what the Nazi party is saying, what the Hitler is saying, what the Nazi language is saying is all right. Such a mindset was there that even the people, those were treated is right. How the people came to know about the Holocaust. It was only after the war ended that people came to know about what had happened. The Jews wanted the world to know about the atrocities and suffering they had endured during the Nazi killing operation. They just wanted to live, even if it was for few hours, to tell the world about Holocaust. This was the condition that many people, they felt that they must let the people know about the Holocaust. What happened with them, what happened with millions of people, those who were killed in those concentration camps. There were the people, those who contained writing in some boxes, so that by any means and method, if the people can come to know about what happened in those concentration camps. then that can be a fairer deal to the people. This is what I feel. The crime was there. But then also, something good happens when something bad happens. Either if something bad happens, something good will always going to happen. So this is a balance of nature. But whosoever was killed was not the right thing. The way that the Nazi party treated the people, hoarded them like animal, killed them like an animal, was not the right way. What the Jews did, that was their forefathers. And what the Nazis were doing was the present time. If my forefather had done something wrong, that must not be taken here, and I should be punished for it. But then also, it's okay. We are at the end of the chapter. Thank you, all of you.